Welcome back to the Logic Dilemma. I am your host, American Mike, coming to you from the Purple Mountain Majesties, from sea to shining sea, America the Beautiful. Remember when our president said this?
You got the vaccination?
Yeah.
Are you okay? I mean, you seem, no, it works. Or or the mom and dad, or the neighbor, or when you go to church, or when you're, I really mean it. There are trusted interlocutors. Think of the people. If your kid wanted to find out whether or not there's a man on the moon, or whatever, something, or, whether those aliens are here or not.
What? Now, every time I play a clip on this show, I do my research to ensure that the clip is real. Now, there have been many times where I have found clips that I thought was going to be great for this show. And then I do my research and I find that the clip is fake, or it's been cut, or it's been altered. And so I do my research. I make sure that whatever I play on this show is as real as I can make it. Now, this clip was from years ago, and you may have already heard it. Everybody's heard it. It's been all over social media for years. But I double-checked this over and over and over because I wanted to see if Biden actually made these comments. Listen again.
You got the vaccination?
Yeah.
Are you okay? I mean, you seem, no, it works. Or or the mom and dad, or the neighbor, or when you go to church, or when you're, I really mean it. There are trusted interlocutors. Think of the people. If your kid wanted to find out whether or not there's a man on the moon, or whatever, something, or, whether those aliens are here or not.
Wow. Now he's talking to the Lemon, Don Lemon, and he's asking about the vaccination, and he's talking about who knows what. I don't know what he was saying. Don Lemon sure didn't know what he was saying. I'm sure every single person in the room was thinking, just stop talking. President Biden, your dementia is showing. Now, I bring this up because, well, COVID was kind of a mess anyway. I think it was a mess for everyone involved. Obviously there were people who really struggled through it. There are people who are still struggling. We won't go into it. But one of the reasons why I brought this up is because of Biden's dementia. Now, this is not Grandpa. This is not some old man standing at the entrance to Walmart telling you thank you for coming in and waving at you as you walk through the door. No, this is our president, the president of the United States, talking about, quote, trusted interlocutors. If your kid wants to find out about the aliens, about the man on the moon, this is a man who would not be fit to run a McDonald's restaurant. I'm not joking. This is a man whose mental capacity would not allow him to be a manager at McDonald's. Yet he is the leader of the free world, the leader of the United States of America. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because we just spoke about the Transgender Day of Visibility for Children that was brought out last Sunday. Easter Sunday, Biden makes this statement that, well, it was highly inappropriate for an Easter Sunday. But he makes this statement that we see you, we want transgender to know that we're here for you. We see you. And you're the most brave people I know. That's what he said in the statement. The bravest people I know, which I don't understand that. We have a lot of very brave Americans, not only fighting overseas, but fighting as first responders, losing their lives in the line of duty every day, as police officers, as firemen, and all of these brave individuals, firemen and women, I should say, all of these brave individuals working so hard to make America great. But yet the transgender community is the bravest he knows. That's right from his statement. Now, when asked about this statement, Biden said, I didn't say that. No way. I didn't say that. Oh, okay. Well, we have your signature on this document on whitehouse.gov that talks about this. The fact of the matter is that Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, mentioned that it's very concerning that Biden didn't even know what he was signing at the time. That's why I bring up his dementia. How are you running the country if you're not even remember signing documents? Who is doing this? Who is sending this out there? And at the end of it, it says at the end of the statement, you were created in the image of God. It's true. We all were. We were created in the image of God. My question is this. If you were created in the image of God, as the statement declares, then why are you trying to change that? If you were, as a transgender individual, created in the image of God, then why aren't you content with who you are? And why are you going through such an incredible identity crisis in which I believe you need help that you're not getting? We spoke about this at length on the last episode. But I think it's very important for us to realize that Biden's dementia is real. This is something that we see. This isn't something we're making up. This isn't something where it's not like Trump where we're trying to dig deep to find something, just anything we can find about Joe Biden because we want to take him down. No. We see this every time he speaks. The press secretary tries to cover it all up, but she doesn't do a good job of it. She just looks like she's lying, which she is. I don't know. The election's coming up. We're going to be voting either for Joe Biden, the oldest president in history, or Donald Trump, the second oldest president in history. Not the greatest of options, but I do like the way Donald Trump handled the country and the way that he ran the country. He did a great job. I don't always condone some of the ways that he reacts toward people and some of the things that he says about people. But I do like the way he runs the country, the way that he runs it like a business, the way that he runs the country like with knowing that he's the one pulling the strings, that he's the one in charge. We know for a fact that there's no one up there working him like a puppet. So we can't say that about Biden, and I don't think anybody can, even the most liberal of the liberal. If you're paying attention, you can see that Biden isn't pulling the strings. He can't go into a meeting without exact notes of exactly what to do and who to talk to, and their picture next to who to talk to, and the steps, even to the point where it tells him where to sit and when to sit. Now, I know Donald Trump used notes too. He had note cards. I don't have any problem with note cards. What I have a problem with is exact steps of our president of exactly what he has to do. That shows, enter this. I'm not even joking. Some of the notes that we've seen on the back of these cards are: enter into the room. Number 2, sit down at the head of the table. Number 3. I mean, these are things that anybody should know. I don't know. Anyway, we have the election coming up. Hillary Clinton warns that AI technology is on the rise. Hillary Clinton, I'm not sure why she's in the news or why anybody cares. I actually think that she's the worst. I will go on record saying that because I really do. I think she's the worst. She says that and this is an article I pulled off of Fox News. Hillary Clinton warns that AI technology will make the disinformation of the 2016 election, quote, look primitive. I find this incredibly funny. She says in this article, I don't think any of us understood it. I did not understand it. I can tell you my campaign did not understand it. The so-called dark web was filled with these kinds of memes and stories and videos of all sorts portraying me in all kinds of less than flattering ways, she said. And she goes on to say, and we knew something's going on, but we didn't understand the full extent of the very clever way in which it was insinuated into social media. Huh. Later on in the article, she says, there are people today who think I've done all these terrible things because they saw it on the internet. And they saw it on the internet in their Facebook feed or some, Twitter this or Snapchat that. They were, following the breadcrumbs, she said. She goes on to say, and everybody thought I had colluded with Russia because of the disinformation that Donald Trump had spread. Oh, wait. Oh, no. That's something she said about Donald Trump that plagued him for half his presidency. Keep in mind that the whole Russian collusion that was against Trump, they put together entire investigations to find out who and how did Donald Trump collude with Russia, and they found nothing. And they actually found that it was a hoax. That the entire thing was based off of a dossier that was written by a man who was hired by the Clinton campaign. So when I see Hillary Clinton talking about disinformation in an election, well, I better listen because there's no better professional than her. She's the one who came up with the whole Russian collusion hoax. Her campaign, at least. And it plagued Donald Trump's presidency. Donald Trump for years was saying, I never colluded with Russia. And yet every media was reporting it like it was fact. Only to find out that it was completely fake. So I'm sorry if I don't take Hillary Clinton's advice on disinformation on the web, simply because she drove most of it against her opponent. It was terrible what she did. And I don't know if it was her. Please, okay, let me back up. Let me be clear. I don't know if it was her. But I do know that the man that wrote all of the Russian collusion was hired by the Clinton campaign. I don't know what that means. I don't know if Hillary Clinton even knew what had happened. Maybe not. But but she knows now. She knows now that the Russian collusion that they peddled for so many years against Donald Trump was fake. So forgive me if I don't believe in this idea that you're now worried about election disinformation. It's funny how Democrats do this. They're always worried about something when it can hurt them, and they're always using it when it can help them. Well, disinformation isn't the only thing. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit here and leave Hillary Clinton in the dust. I honestly don't even care about Hillary Clinton. But I want to shift gears and talk about race. Because simply put, our society is having a hard time with race. Now, I know this is completely different than what we were just talking about, but this show is all about logic, the logic dilemma. And the dilemma of logic is when logic and your emotions contradict. What you want to do and what you should do, or what you want to think and what you should think, don't coincide. That becomes a dilemma in your life. That's where logic becomes a problem, and that's what this show is about. And I feel like right now race is one of those things. It's one of those issues that we have in our society that we are having a hard time finding logic. So let's take a step back a little bit and look at race from a logical perspective. And what I mean about race is all of the different ethnicities that exist within America. And this is a very important part of America because America does have a lot of ethnicities. Now, this is stemming from a few months ago. I was filling out a form, and it was a government form. And there was a question on the form that said ethnicity. So I opened up the drop down, and it had all the ethnicities of the world. It had English. It had German. It had Spaniard. It had Chinese, Japanese. It had a lot of the other Oriental countries. It did have African American. It had a few others, Tongan and Hawaiian even. I thought that was interesting. I scrolled down through this long list that Russian, Italian, all of these ethnicities that it was listing. I got down all the way down to the bottom. I found mine. White. White. All of these beautiful countries and their ethnicities, and mine's white. And I thought, wait, where's American? Now, I grew up knowing that America is a melting pot, that immigrants from all over the world come to America to live a free life and to live a free market and to build a business and live the American dream. That's what I was raised knowing. And I'm perfectly okay with that. And I'm not okay with illegal immigration and a bunch of people busting across the border. Not okay with that. But legal immigration, absolutely. So I was told that there's no such thing as American ethnicity because it's all part of the melting pot. And there are so many different ethnicities in America. So I thought, but if that's true, then why is it that I can go to any country in the world and I walk up to somebody and I say, hey, can you tell me where the bathroom is? Or can you tell me where the restroom is? What's the first thing that person says? Ah, you're American. Any country in the world. And I would be classified as an American. They would see me instantly as an American. So if America is this melting pot of immigration and there is no national ethnicity, then why would it be so obvious that I would be American? Because it's true. I can go to any country in the world and they would say, ah, he's American. So when I'm asked, what ethnicity are you? Why can't I put American? I don't know. Logically, it makes sense that I would be able to, but we separate everybody out in America, and we like it that way. So if there was one on there, African American, and let's talk about this for a second. Raven Simone, she used to be on the Cosby Show as a tiny girl. She was on That's So Raven. She's pretty funny. She's a pretty funny lady. I've laughed at some of her work when I was a kid. But I remember an interview she gave 10 years ago where she told Oprah Winfrey, "I'm tired of being labeled. I'm an American, not an African American." Now, this was 10 years ago that she made these comments. And of course, Oprah Winfrey, the great divider, says, "Oh, girl, don't go set Twitter on fire." Because they want to label you as African American. Whereas I see what Raven Simone was saying. Yeah, she's black, but she's an American. And I get it. So I've always found it a little bit odd that we classify black people as African American. She goes on to say that a lot of her family history is right from Louisiana, generations back. You know, another funny thing is my great-grandfather immigrated here from Norway. And that's just great-grandfather. That's not even that long ago. From Norway. Above that, all of it, all of my family history is Norwegian. Now, when I'm talking to you, I'm an American. I'm not a Norwegian American. I'm not labeled as a Norwegian American. So why are black Americans labeled as African? Now, I know that this is controversial. I know that we need to be able to say correct labels for society's sake. But I don't agree with it. Taking in Raven Simone, she's no more African than I am Norwegian. And any black American out there whose roots stem back from years and years, generation after generation of American citizens, they are no more African than I am Norwegian. But you would never call me a Norwegian American. See, I just don't like these labels that we do with race. And you know who does this the best? Democrats. They label every race all the time. In fact, where you see this is election. Any presidential election night, you can turn to MSNBC or CNN and you can watch. They put it up on the board and they have, first and foremost, the percentage of African American votes. Below that, what would it be? Oh, the percentage of Hispanic vote, the percentage of Asian American votes, and down all the way through any of the separation of race that they can come up with. Why do they do that? Because I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why can't we just look at an election as registered, legal Americans voting? I don't care what your ethnicity is. Why would we? Or why should we? What does your ethnicity have to do with the way you vote? But we see it all the time. And we see it with Democrats mostly. And they think that they're doing everybody a service. They're saying, oh, look at us. We're so progressive. We're going to recognize the different races. But do you know that that's the definition of being racist? Treating groups differently according to their ethnicity? See, in America, for some reason, we live in opposite land when it comes to race. And the logical aspect of this doesn't exist. In opposite land, when we separate out all of the ethnicities and we treat them differently and we recognize them differently, that's considered non-racist. That's opposite land. See, because that's what racism is. It's non-racism would be, hey, look, everybody's American. This is the American vote. We don't care what your ethnicity is. If you're American, this is your vote. And honestly, I can't figure out why it even matters. But we have all of the progressives saying, oh, but if you're not separating out all the groups and recognizing the groups individually, well, that's racist. That's why they think conservatives are racist. That's where that came from, because they're saying, oh, well, if you don't recognize the groups separately, then you're racist. If you're not opening your eyes. Why should I? I've got me sitting there being an American, working a job. I've got a black guy, my black counterpart. I hate saying black but that's kind of how we classify them. I'm not going to call him African American. He's just as much American as I am. Sitting there, the only difference between us is the color of his skin, which I don't care. I don't even care what their color is. But that is why progressives think that's racist, because we're not recognizing the differences. But that's opposite land. You know, why do they call Donald Trump racist? He has many people working with him who are black. Many different colors of people, many different colors of skin, and many different genders working for him and working with him. So why do they call him racist? Because he wants to deport all the Mexicans? Well, no, not at all. Because he wants to, treat different races differently? Not even close. Let me explain to you why they think that Donald Trump's racist. Number one is because he doesn't care about the color of your skin. That's first and foremost. When you don't care, they think you're racist. It's backwards. Anyway, Donald Trump has a very different way of looking at this country. Now, pay attention, because our society is exactly the way Donald Trump views it. But the liberal media will never acknowledge this. Donald Trump has it separated into about 5 different categories, and race has nothing to do with it. Any progressive liberal they'll separate and segregate into race all the livelong day. But Donald Trump doesn't. He separates our society into 5 different groups. The first group is working American. That's the number one most important group to Donald Trump. Working American. And we need to do whatever we can to keep you employed, keep you working, and keep you making as much money as possible. The next rung of the ladder below that is a non-working American citizen. That's the person that he says, let's figure out what we need to do to get you working. So if that means take away some of the social programs that make it easier for you not to work, let's do that. Let's get you working. Because the more people we have working as on that top rung of that ladder, working American citizens, the more people we can get up there, the better the morale of our country. And that's true. So now, non-working American citizens, right below that is working non-citizens, people who aren't here legally, but they are working hard. And he says, okay, for you, we need to figure out a way for you to become a citizen. And let's figure this out. You're contributing to society up here, so we don't necessarily want to kick you out, but we need to get you, you have to be legal. And then right below that is the non-working non-citizen. Those are the ones that Donald Trump says, you're a drain on our society. We're going to ship you back to wherever you came from. See, and the media is so focused on that one group. Oh, he's going to deport everybody. No, he's not. But if you're a non-working, non-citizen, yeah, you got to go. Who can argue with that? If you're just here as a non-citizen and you're draining our resources by being here, yes, you need to go back to where you came from, if they'll take you. So there's that. The group right below that, the fifth group, is the terrorist. And he'll come after you. If you are of the kind of person that will try to hurt Americans, try to kill Americans, he'll come at you. And he'll come at you hard. And you will die like a dog, he says. That is a direct quote from Donald Trump. He died like a dog because you're trying to hurt American citizens. So that's that fifth group. That's it. That's how Donald Trump has separated out society. Has nothing to do with race. It has to do with whether or not you're contributing and whether or not you are able to get better and do more. If you can do more, let's get you doing more. If you're not working, let's figure out a way to make you work. That's how Donald Trump views society. See, but when he doesn't recognize race at all, that's why liberals are saying, oh, he's so racist. He doesn't recognize race. Well, how is that racist? Why is it that they're able to say, oh, because you don't recognize race, therefore you're racist? But yet, the Democrats have been fighting for years to keep the groups separate. You remember the man named Robert Byrd? He was a senator for many years. In fact, he was actually a Democrat senator that was one of the most influential. He's been named one of the most influential senators in the history of America. He was a senator for many, many years. This is a man who served on leadership for the KKK. A Democrat senator who before becoming senator was a very high-ranking official within the KKK. So he becomes a senator, and even as a senator, he fought to keep segregation. See, in 1964, we had a Civil Rights Act. And there was a huge piece of the Democrat Party who opposed desegregation and civil rights. And Robert Byrd stood and filibustered that Civil Rights Act of 1964, which means he made sure that they couldn't pass it. He did not want desegregation. So he fought for he fought to keep the Civil Rights Act from passing. He wanted to continue this segregation aspect of our society where we separate all of our races into neat little groups that can be controlled. They can be separated and controlled independently of one another. Now, it's the Republicans that were pushing this through. Remember, keep in mind, it was the Republican Abraham Lincoln, and everybody, anytime I bring this up, everybody says, well, the Republicans were different back then. Okay. Well, the whole country was different back then. But it's the same principles today. Republicans aren't racist. We just don't care what your race is. So that's why they call us racist. It was the same thing for Abraham Lincoln, he just didn't care what your color was. He didn't care what your race was. Everybody's just an American. We need to treat them like Americans. So Abraham Lincoln was the father of bringing in the fold, bringing everybody together as one. He's the one that started all of that. Made sure 100% we wouldn't have slaves anymore. The whole slave thing, I don't understand it either. I don't understand it anyway. I actually think of that back then, and I try to picture what it was like. I can't even fathom owning people, but I don't know how that even works. But see, Abraham Lincoln, the Republican, wanted to put an end to that. All those Southern plantation owners in the South that had their slaves, they were all Democrats. So you see that today. You still do, because they still want to keep the groups separated. Now, you think that I'm just making this up? Well, guess what? The term African American is a good example. Who came up with that? Who came up with the term African American? Because it sure doesn't make sense. The fact is, African American is a label that was put onto these Americans so that they weren't lumped in together with actual Americans. We do this all the time. I call it the plus size model effect. We do this with plus size models. Okay, this is a really good example. A plus size model is labeled as such because they're a little bigger and they model bigger clothing. But the truth is a model no matter what. So why do they say, well, she's a plus size model? The only reason is so that they can label her and separate her from actual models. You see, because it's like this. Oh, is she a model? Well, yeah. She's a plus size model, but okay. Okay, I get it. No. See, that's not true. Why would we label that? If you're modeling clothing, then weight has nothing to do with it. You're just a model. The only reason they say plus size is so that they can differentiate and segregate you out from the actual models. So that's what it was with African American. Oh, is he an American? Well, yeah, I mean, he's African American. Oh, okay, I get it. See, that's bullcrap. You're just American. You're an American with dark skin. Own it and be happy about it. But like I said before, you're no more African than I am Norwegian. Own it. You're an American citizen. And this is what, back to that story with Raven-Symoné, this is what she was talking about. And Oprah Winfrey, oh, don't say that. Oh my gosh. You have to label yourself as African American. Why? Be proud. I'm a dark-skinned American. Be proud of that. Now, I'm not saying I am. I'm as white can be. And then, you know what? We should all just be Americans. So when we go to vote, it's not, well, that's the African American vote. This is the white American vote. We're going to classify those differently because we see them differently. No, why? Logically, it doesn't make a bit of sense. We're just Americans voting. Oh, are you American? African American. Oh, I get it. Okay. I see what you're saying. It's not right. And for the black community out there, I would feel the same way. If I was black, I would say, stop calling me African. I would. I'd say, call me an American citizen. I'm an American, and I'm just as American as any white dude out there. That's how I would be. We got to stop with these labels. But the Democrats are the ones that drive this. Remember, in the Democrat mind, it's opposite land. If you don't recognize race, you're racist. And if you do separate the groups, that's not racist. That's exactly opposite of the truth, by the way. Now, I have proof of this. Remember our little friend, the KKK leader, Robert Byrd? To be fair, he did say later that he had renounced all of that. And later on in life, he was outspoken about making sure that we had desegregation, that we were, that he did fight for the human rights, okay? All human rights, regardless of race. But it took a really long time. And I'm not 100% sure that it was real. But there are a lot of Democrats who responded to his death. Hillary Clinton, this is a quote from her, our best friend Hillary Clinton. Ugh, yuck. She says, quote, "It is almost impossible to imagine the United States Senate without Robert Byrd. He was not just the longest serving member, he was its heart and soul. From my first day in the Senate, I sought out his guidance, and he was always generous with his time and his wisdom." Okay, so KKK leader Robert Byrd, all right. Vice President Joe Biden at the time, who is the president now, he said, and I quote, and this is, he actually was able to formulate sentences, so this might be a little bit surprising to you. But he said, I quote, "A very close friend of mine, one of my mentors." This is a KKK member. And he's one of Joe Biden's mentors? No. Let me go back. Not even a KKK member. He was a KKK leader. Grand Poobah of the KKK. And he's one of Joe Biden's mentors. He goes on to say, "A guy who was there when I was a 29-year-old kid being sworn into the United States Senate." Okay, Robert Byrd still wanted segregation then, by the way. So keep that in mind. When Biden was 29 years old, Robert Byrd was still very racist and wanted segregation. He was one of the mentors. Anyway, shortly thereafter, a guy who stood in the rain, in the pouring rain, freezing rain, outside a church as I buried my daughter and my wife before I got sworn in. We lost the Dean of the United States Senate, but also the state of West Virginia lost its most fierce advocate. And as I said, I lost a dear friend. Okay. Chris Dodd, Democrat senator, same type of crap. He was my closest friend, closest ally. Barack Obama, he was as much part of the Senate as the marble busts that line its chamber and its corridors. Let me go back. Let me use Barack Obama's voice. He was as much part of the Senate as the marble busts that line its chamber and its corridors. His profound passion for that body and its role and responsibilities was as evident behind closed doors as it was in the stem windows, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you get it. There are a couple of Republicans, too. Let me call them out. Lindsey Graham, Orrin Hatch, Mitch McConnell. They all said he was great. But this is what I'm talking about, is that for years, he was the mentor of Democrats, and we see it today still. We see this segregation of the races as they try to, and they disguise it. And they do such a good job of disguising it as they make it look like they're trying to help each group individually. But what they're trying to actually do is just to keep everybody separate. And they want to keep tabs on each group separately. I don't even get it. Just lump everybody together as Americans and let's fix everybody. Let's help everybody. Let's get everybody out there. Number one, if you're working a citizen, let's keep you working. Number two, if you're a non-working citizen, let's get you out there and let's get you working. Number three, if you're a working non-citizen, let's get you on a path to citizenship. Number four, if you're a non-working non-citizen, let's get you out of here because you're just a drain on our society. And number five, if you're a terrorist, you can go and die. We don't care. You're not going to sit and hurt Americans. We're not going to put up with that. We never have and we never will. See, that is what Donald Trump is for. And I completely agree with him. And on that note, that's where I leave you. This is American Mike for The Logic Dilemma, the show where we discuss how logic shouldn't be a problem in your lives. We should all be using a little bit more logic. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. Yes, share this with your friends. And stay logical, America.